Space Action Podcast with your hosts Chris Carson and DC and Shama.
Welcome to Space Action Podcast, a division of SpaceActionHeroes.com.
Jinx! Welcome to this very special episode of Space Action Podcast. We're just checking in with you guys, doing a quick little 20-minute podcast to celebrate Canada Day. Space Action Podcast, as you know, is an extension of Space Action Heroes, which you can find at SpaceActionHeroes.com. I'm Chris Carson.
DC and Drama.
And here we go. And this week we're celebrating Canada Day. It is officially the Day of Canada.
Crack your do-fors there, eh?
Oh yeah, get out the hockey sticks and mullets, I suppose.
Eat a poutine.
Oh, poutine!
Sit in a Muskoka chair down by the lake.
French fries are freedom fries. Oh wait, wrong country.
Fucking A, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this the whole podcast, smoke a dart.
Smoke a dart, and to celebrate Canada Day, we're gonna do a little talk about Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
This is Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life.
Scott, if your life had a face, I would punch it.
Yeah. Wait, what?
You want to fight me for her?
Why on earth
Would you want to do that?
Because I'm in love with her. I dislike you, capiche?
Tell it to the cleaning lady on Monday.
What?
Because you'll be dust by Monday. Because you'll be pulverized in 2 seconds. And the cleaning lady, she cleans up dust. She dusts.
I think technically it's an American production, but everything about it is Canadian. It's Canadian. Brian Lee O'Malley, Canadian author, artist who created the books.
And also, the entire plot takes place like
in
a
Toronto
block from my house.
The great thing is they say Toronto. People pronounce that second T, and it's not accurate. I love right out of the gate. Bill Hader says, "In Toronto, Canada."
Oh, that's hilarious.
Because you're not supposed that second T is silent, but everyone says it.
The only person who says it is fucking Superman.
Every time an American says it in the movie, they say Toronto.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Every time a Canadian says it, they say Toronto.
I love that there was one part in the movie, the part where I was like, oh man, you guys really do know your audience, where the Scott's like, I only have like 25 cents for the bus. She's like, I'll lend you the other $2.75 or something like that.
Oh, right.
And they hiked the prices like right before that movie came out. I'm like, oh, you almost had it.
Yeah.
You were almost, but
so close.
You
to being
underestimated TTC being assholes.
Yeah. What's it up to now, by the way?
$3.25?
$3.25. Jesus Christ. Yeah. And that's for a one-way, only a transfer if you're continuing in the same direction. Usually late. It was since this is a Canada Day podcast, everything about Canada goes. Toronto Transit was ranked the most expensive, but near the bottom of the list in terms of quality in all of North America. I think Mexico City's even beating us.
I don't want to. That's probably a douchey luck because fucking I've never been to Mexico City, but I guarantee it's fucking.
Their infrastructure ain't great, right? So like, I mean, they're a poor-ish country.
It's what the worst part is? They've never had a transit employee photographed sleeping in a toll booth. We've had three.
It's they've never had some Chris Carson super drunk peeing at one of the stops. That may or may not have happened. It was an emergency. Was that or wet myself? I'm just saying.
It's all right. You're not like some sort of monster that would pee on a public transit bus.
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't do it in the bus. You do it out where, Anyways, Scott Pilgrim versus the world. I didn't know of this before the announcement for the film. I wasn't into the comic beforehand.
I think they knew the movie was coming out because the hype was huge, and I just
barreled through.
Yeah, I barreled through all
and the last issue wasn't out yet. And I remember the last issue suffered from the classic, wasn't finished at time of the script being written, so the last issue was influenced by the movie.
Yeah,
and that was a little disappointing.
In also the one thing that kind of bugged me, he didn't have time to finish it, Brian Lee O'Malley, so he hired another artist to do a lot of the exterior shots.
Okay, right,
and it just stuck out like a sore thumb, and it really felt like, oh, okay, yeah, this is clearly you guys are producing these side by side,
right?
You're using their ideas, they're using their ideas.
It's very incestuous.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, that movie's great, and it speaks to us, like people our age, more than anyone else. Because it's about 20-somethings in Toronto in the early 2000s.
With zero income.
Completely
aimless, in a state of arrested development.
Yeah, they're all musicians or artists working as baristas.
Yeah.
And it just, that movie rang so true. I can't count the amount of times that I've after a bar, stopped at the Pizza across from Honest Ed's.
Yes.
Before going to like a house party or something.
That's right.
And now Honest Ed's isn't even there anymore, which is very sad.
Yeah, R.I.P. Ed's, man.
Yeah, definitely
my favorite,
R.I.P. And
my
R.I.P.
favorite
Coco the Gorilla randomly. But
is they Oh yeah, Coco.
Coco
God damn it,
died.
what are you doing?
I'm
here?
sorry.
You're steering
I'm
us
sorry.
into the fucking sad
I
bush.
just did R.I.P. It just popped in my head. It's so sad. Anyway, sorry.
Christ.
She wasn't Canadian, so.
I remember the scene where I was like, Jesus, you guys really do give a shit. It's when they rebuilt the interior of Lee's Palace. But they didn't rebuild it with the new bar. They built it with the old bar. I'm like, you guys did your fucking homework. That is so impressive.
And they somehow, I wonder how much time it took to make it look as like seedy and lived
disgusting.
in and disgusting as it actually was. Good job on them. I actually, Ryan Duffield, a friend of ours, we went to one of those like Rocky Horror Picture Show style screenings of Scott Pilgrim, and Edgar Wright was in town, and
I was there for that.
with Brian Lee O'Malley. You came to the show, but beforehand, Ryan and I went to Brian Lee O'Malley's.
Yes, you did.
And signed, and I'll never forget to this day because we got up and he was signing our Scott Pilgrim stuff, which I gotta find where that I ended up putting that. But anyways,
I still have mine. I think you got me a book signed.
Yeah, I got somewhere. But Edgar Wright said, "So are you guys coming to the show tonight?" And I was like, "Well, we're trying to, but you gave all your tickets away on like radio shows and shit, so it's really hard to get a ticket." And he just went, "Okay," and seemed like really, "Oh, you're weird." Like it was, and I was like, "Yeah, thanks for your autograph." And then afterwards, like, did I just kind of shit on
Simon? It's me. I hate Canadians.
But I wasn't trying to be aggressive or anything. But you know, your memory always skews things to the worst possible angle. But I just remember being like, "Yeah, we're trying to get tickets, but you're fucking giving them all away on radio shows and shit." It wasn't like that at all. But
it was kind of cool. I remember whenever they were filming the movie here, we went and saw An Evening with Kevin Smith.
Okay.
And it was great. Right before the show started and everyone's taking their seats, a voice that is undeniably Kevin Smith comes over the PA system. He goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, a director far more talented than Kevin Smith, Edgar Wright." And Edgar Wright came out and introduced him.
That's awesome.
And I was like, that was really cool, man. Just like, oh, they're director friends.
Yeah, right.
Like, it actually happened. That makes me so happy.
So what's your take on Edgar Wright overall? Because it really feels like he's a bit of a Tarantino sycophant, and maybe that inspires him a little too much in his work. Even though I love his stuff, I wasn't a huge fan of Baby Driver, and Baby Driver felt like a dumbed down Tarantino movie.
It was a weird one for him. I think it suffered a lot from the fact that Drive came out in the interim that he was playing that movie, and he was like, fuck!
And he also wrote and directed it, which maybe wasn't, like, he needs the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost heart. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because like their story, if I'm not mistaken, their story is that like Jessica Stevenson and Simon Pegg were the writers for a long time, and then he was just the
director.
The director. That's right. Has he written anything else?
I don't think so. And then that was like his apparently like Baby Driver was his dream project, and Baby Driver is visually stunning.
The editing is tight as fuck.
It's tight as fuck, but it's very shallow in terms of the characters. It feels like someone who doesn't typically wrote it to make his written and directed by credit.
He's got a writing credit for Hot Fuzz and Shaun the Dead, Fistful of Fingers, and Scott Pilgrim.
He needs those guys.
World's End, Ant-Man, Baby Driver.
But that's all him working with other people, right? It's not just his idea. And I really think that Nick Frost and Simon Pegg really bring the heart. And in the case of Scott Pilgrim, Brian Lee O'Malley really brought the heart.
Right. I'll agree with that.
He's a genius at visuals.
Oh god, like rewatching Space, there's so many goddamn moments where I'm like, considering how claustrophobic that set kind of is.
Oh yeah.
It's regardless, you feel like you're in a comic book. The way it whip pans around.
Oh yeah.
Or my personal favorite, there's a great one whenever Amber runs down the stairs, so the camera whips over here and then goes down, and their eye lines go up, and I'm like, you didn't need to put that much art into such a simple idea. But you did.
And apparently he's a nightmare to work with.
I can imagine, dude. Can you imagine like trying to get all those whip pan zoom
perfect
at its perfect? I imagine it'd be a nightmare.
I think it was Nick Frost who said like you need to take a break from working with him in order to want to work with him.
Well, that's how World's End ended up being so delayed. I think is that
he went off and made Scott Pilgrim, and then they made what their intended Part 3 trilogy was Paul,
which I rewatched. Got like halfway through it. it kind of misses. It definitely is missing that edge.
It has
that
no
Edgar Wright
style to it.
Yeah,
it's like all flat shots, lockdown cameras.
It's the same dude who directed Pineapple Express, and it feels like, as much as I love Pineapple Express, like I don't think of that movie for its directing, like at all. It's like performances.
He knew he was making a movie with a bunch of talented comedians, so get a far shot, lock the camera down, let them do their thing.
The thing that drove me nuts was a lot of that movie is just that. It's a lot of Nick Frost and Simon Pegg looking off camera, smiling as Paul. Seth Rogen just says shit over and over. Hey, look, now I'm dancing, and they're like nodding, like looking off screen. I'm like, that movie is like 70% that. Yeah, it drives me kind of
very ugly. I would love to have seen what that trilogy would have been like with
Edgar Wright.
Paul, ending it with Paul.
Because
I love World's End, but it doesn't really fit.
Remember we saw that together?
Yeah.
We brought beers and everything.
Yeah. I rewatch it every year or so, and I'm
good.
Like, it holds up.
Yeah, I love that ending where they were like, fuck you! Like, we're pretty... Yeah, fuck it. That whole ending is like...
Because we want to get high!
Yeah.
We want to party!
A declaration of it, because that is kind of the best and worst thing about the human beings, is our ability to be like, you know what? Fuck it! Like, it's the best and worst thing that we can do.
But compared to, like... not compared to even, but as a part of the trilogy... It doesn't really fit with the other two.
I agree.
At all. Definitely not as much as Paul would have.
Mm-hmm. The first, the Cornetto trilogy.
The Cornetto trilogy.
That's it. I gotta do those again soon. But yeah, I mean, what he brought to fucking Scott Pilgrim's unparalleled. I love the fucking wire work. I love all the practical effects in that movie. The way he brought in the actual copied the handwritten script from the comic book and just laid them in.
And Brian Lee O'Malley even drew some parts for the flashback episodes.
That's right. Oh my god, when he punches it through the moon.
And Ramona's story.
Yeah, that's right.
It's such a great little love letter to Canada from a Brit. Mm-hmm. But Michael Cera's Canadian, right?
I believe he's from Vancouver.
So yeah. Because again, he that role was made for Michael Cera. That role is what made me want Michael Cera.
I'm trying to think of I never read Scott as so introverted and kind of
true.
Because the way he's drawn, he reminds me more of like a Bart Simpson or Calvin.
So who would you cast in? Well, who would you cast back in 2010?
2010. I can't remember, dude. This morning, you want me to remember 2010? Who was a relevant actor? Who that was age appropriate? Yeah. I don't know. The kid from Twilight, was he around then? Twilight.
I think it worked. It worked for the material. Like in the comic book, they're all drawn so ridiculous. You don't really get a sense of stature,
right?
But you're right that he wasn't as introverted in the comic, but that's what Michael Cera brought to it. But I think it's Michael Cera's probably his best role.
I'll agree with that.
Maybe second place being Pineapple Express, Superbad.
I thought you were gonna say I just rewatched This Is the End, where he plays like the worst version of Michael Cera in the tracksuit with the blow,
getting the girl to eat his butt out.
I fucking love.
Apparently, that actress was not happy.
Would you be?
Depends on how much I'm being paid.
You have to stare into George Michael's toilet paper ridden O-ring all day.
I would stare into George Michael Bluth's asshole for a month if I got a good enough paycheck to do it.
She didn't.
She probably
And then she
didn't.
had to look into James Franco's butt.
Yeah, she didn't even have a line, so she wasn't even paid as a full-on actor. She would have been paid as like a day player, her an extra. That's awkward.
Dark.
But anyways, I
just remember Anna Kendrick plays his sister.
Yep. Yeah.
There's so many people like fucking Aubrey Plaza. I'm just
she's the with the censored swearing.
Oh yeah, for fuck Pilgrim.
Yeah. How are you doing that with your face? Never mind.
She's awesome in that movie.
And I love he ordered my drink, a caramel macchiato from Second Cup. That was my fucking drink.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yeah.
I remember and also the oh my god, Alison Brie?
Not Alison Brie. It's Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. It is Captain Marvel. Yeah. Holy shit, man! Like it's
clomping around on the stage like
fucking
a baby
Captain
colt.
America.
And Captain America.
That movie is and Superman technically.
And who's now the Atom, which is I think
is he going to be Atom in the MCU now?
No, he's the Atom in the DCU on TV, which I think DC fucked up. The comics, not the person. Because
wait a minute.
When Marvel fired Edgar Wright from Ant-Man, DC should have been like, we have the exact same character. Yeah. He's called the Atom. Come make the Atom movie. Like that, they screwed up. They should have really jumped on that horse when it was still hot. But now, Superman there is playing the Atom in one of the DC TV shows. Okay. No, I think it's like Legends of Tomorrow or something.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
One of the DC. I love that DC also is taking all their best plots and putting it on television and then going, what do we do with the movies?
Well, Jesus Christ. Like, I did you hear about there's an other Joker movie in production now?
There's two now.
What the fuck? fuck?
Yeah, there's
Like,
the DCEU one with
isn't the
worst
best part about the Joker is not knowing his origin story?
Yeah, the Joker origin is the worst idea ever.
I don't know what the hell this is anymore. It's like they're trying to piss people off.
Yeah, and because Jared Leto's, I don't think anyone likes Jared unless you're a super like fanboy. You don't really like Jared Leto's
He's the one
Joker.
thing about 24. Oh, his Joker. I was going to
Joker.
say him in general. I don't know what the fuck he was doing in Blade Runner 2049, but his performance is irritating.
I'm not a fan of Jared Leto. I love him in Requiem for a Dream.
Yes,
and that's it. Ever since then, he has annoyed the shit out of me.
And chases around 14-year-olds.
Yeah, and he's a juggalo Joker. He looks like a Joker's #1 guy. He looks like Bob. You know, Bob from the '89 Batman was Joker's #1 guy. He looks like a 2018 version of Bob, not the Joker.
I'm picturing him when he showed up to the Oscars in that white tux with the long Jesus hair. He looked gross as shit. He did kind of look like Bob.
He looks like Bob. So he's a horrible Joker. And then to do like a Scorsese-produced Joaquin Phoenix Joker is very weird. Because it's an origin story. You're going to be telling the story of him as a comedian in like 1980s
they're gonna do Killing Joke.
Yeah. But it's gonna, and then also again, the my whole like corporate, wires start blinking where I'm like, oh, they're saying in the '80s, almost like there's an obsession with that decade right now.
Right.
Gotta throw the Joker in the '80s. So I don't know. It's sort of like Wonder Woman 2. Why is Wonder Woman 2 set in the '80s? You just gonna skip World War One?
That's right. Yeah, they skipped. Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, World
and
War
the Cold
II?
War.
And
Oh
the
no,
Cold
sorry,
War?
the Cold War's '80s. But I guess I was like, why did they send her to Vietnam? It's because they had no business being there. It'd be fucked up if she was killing a bunch of Vietnamese people.
But what happened in like World War II and Vietnam and Korean War? Was she just like, listen, Ares has to have his fun. I can't be everywhere. I'm gonna wait till the '80s to come back and look fabulous.
Ares is walking around wearing a necklace covered in ears. Like, what the fuck? What do I got? What's a guy got to do?
Hello. Where's the weapon? Hello.
Right.
And did she kill Ares at the end of the first Wonder Woman? Because then
I saw it once.
Yeah, I don't remember.
fell asleep at the end. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it just became a light show.
The second it became a DC movie, I kind of dozed off.
So if he's dead, I wonder how World War II happened. Because Ares created war, apparently.
Duh, Hitler.
Oh, wouldn't that have been great if they'd done it set in World War II and then Hitler pulls off like a Mission Impossible mask and it's the dude playing Ares from the first one, the
David Thewlis.
Yeah.
He just like peels off like the mustache. It has a long mustache. Oh shit.
Ares, I knew it was going to be you.
Gal Gadot's pretty damn good.
That's just me doing like someone with a speech impediment. That's my Gal Gadot impression. And they made those poor Amazonian women in the movies have to talk like her.
What's her name? Her mom starts doing it. It's a little rough. It's like they didn't all have to.
You're all
do
just
it.
compensating for Gal Gadot's weird accent.
Like, why didn't you just let them all have different accents?
Because is that even like? Would you if you met like 10 women from Israel, would they all sound like that, or does Gal Gadot just have a fucked up? Because I've met people from Israel. They haven't sounded as
I thought
weird.
she was
as,
from the. She is. You're right.
She won like Miss Israel or something. She's a supermodel,
right? Yeah, that's right.
Because of course, when you think of Wonder Woman, you think of a tiny, frail-looking supermodel, not like a Ronda Rousey-looking motherfucker.
It looks strange, especially that last shot where she's sailing through the air, and I'm like,
she has arms you could put your fingers around.
it's like
wouldn't you want? Again, we don't really have a position here that will be listened to or even needed as two dudes.
God no.
But wouldn't you want a figurehead of feminism to be like a kick-ass? Like Ronda Rousey
she
looking
can
motherfucker.
be beautiful and powerful, Chris Carson.
But isn't that the stereotype they've been fighting against for all these years?
Oh,
women can do it all.
Snakes can eat its own tail.
But anyways, we kind of went off the rails there. It's supposed to be about Canada Day and Scott Pilgrim. So yeah, I barreled through the comics, hearing about the movie coming out, and then the last one kind of disappointed me. This movie speaks to every like asshole who's now in their 30s.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
It captured a time and place so perfectly because even the movie is set not in the year it came out, isn't it? It's set in 2005.
2005 or something.
Which is the year I moved to the city.
That fucking album, I think me too. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
2005. Yeah,
that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Sorry, look at this fucking cat.
She's good and all sexy.
The fuck you doing?
Jack's doing a sexy thing right now.
All derped out. But I remember when I got that album that came out.
Oh fuck yeah!
It's legitimately good. Beck produced it, and it's fucking fantastic.
What was the band called again?
Sex Bomb.
Sex Bomb. Beck did
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Oh, that's not actually the title. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I remember in theaters for the first time. As soon as the opening credits started. and it was pulling away, and then the title card started hitting with the beat. They blurred with the bass. I was like, oh, this movie, I love this movie.
Because I remember that was going to be a big thing for me as a music nerd. Because when you read it in the comics, they have all the lyrics printed out. How is Sex Bomb going to sound? It never occurred to me. I'm like, because Lucas, no, it's not Lucas. Oh my God. Fuck, hold on. Sorry, what's his name?
I'll fill in the gap by saying Brian Lee O'Malley always said that they were kind of supposed to suck.
Yeah, Steven Stills.
Steven Stills.
He plays an acoustic guitar. Scott's on a bass.
Yeah,
and then you have like a hardcore chick drummer. I'm like, that would sound
horrible.
Terrible.
And it was supposed to sound terrible.
And somehow Beck made it work. Like he just basically ran Scott's acoustic. I'm guessing through some sort of amp or puts distortion on it. Steven's guitar. And just ramped up the bass to the point where it becomes almost like a death from above wall of sound.
Well, I think from a producer angle, you're like, we can't make the songs suck.
Yeah,
we have to sell an album. We have to make people not hate watching these.
Well, I just mean like in the
performances.
sense that like it sounds like he legitimately used the gear that
it was
shitty old '80s gear. It's an insane production. I really like that album.
It would have been. I wonder if it would have been as charming if they had gone the route of the comic and had them not be the greatest. I wonder if it would have been as intensely charming as it is now, because it's like Rocky Horror Picture Show now, the screenings, people singing along to it and shit.
Right.
So I can't even imagine. It would have been truer to the source material, but it would have been a horrible decision.
Right.
To make their songs suck.
It would have been unbearable. There is that one sequence that I do find a little bit unbearable whenever the first X shows up, Patel.
And Matthew Patel!
All those fucking singing
demon chicks, demon hipster chicks,
unbearable.
I believe
it's unbearable. Like
that's straight from the comic. Yeah.
Oh, I know, but like, it was one of those moments where you ever find yourself watching a movie, you recommend it for somebody, and you're watching it together, and then that scene comes up, you're like, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. This part's kind of unbearable.
Yeah.
I don't know why I picked Temple of Doom. We could have watched any of the other Indiana Jones movies.
Keeping it on the Canada front, that's sort of what it's like in a way with Battlestar, where it's like that first 3-hour episode is tough to get through.
It's so hard to get through.
It's so you're like,
trust me.
You just gotta like wade through this 3-hour miniseries, and then it's amazing.
Battlestar is Canadian. It was
produced in Canada,
in Vancouver.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure at least a couple. I know Saul's Canadian,
and so is the Chief, who got like fat after one season.
You leave Chief alone. He's a good man.
He got. Hey, I know the plight of getting chubby when you were thin before, man. And poor Chief.
I think it works for his character though, because what I love about Chief is that he's got that ability to be like a big teddy bear or this psychotic raging,
like when crazy.
I was rewatching it recently, and just when he fucking rages out and he gets those like crazy eyes, he's fucking terrifying.
Which is probably why he's not gotten a lot of other jobs, because that seemed a little too honest to who he actually was.
Is he
those
really?
Scary eyes? No, I'm just saying, like just
maybe
watching.
He tapped into something,
right? When someone can do that good of like rage eyes, you're like, you know that rage.
I saw him at Con once.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It was beetle eyes.
Who else was there? She plays Helen. I forget her name. Helen Ty.
Oh right.
I met her.
I was there with you when you met her.
Yeah.
She signed the thing of like fracked asylums or whatever.
Right? No. That was
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff, my love and goddess. Starbuck herself.
Starbuck herself. What's she up to these days?
She's in something.
Long Mirror. She's in that weird ass show Long Mirror.
But she signed Bottoms Up because I think she knew I was out drinking the night before, and also her character's an alcoholic.
Right.
I thought that was really sweet.
That was good.
But Chief was there, and I remember I turned and I saw him, and we kind of made eye contact, and I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Hey." And I was like, "Hey, was this the way you went?" Hey, and I was just like, I don't want to ever see this man mad. He looks like you tear your jaw.
Right. Yeah, no, he had some intensity. I think one of the funnest things about Scott Pilgrim was living in the city at the time when it came out. It was sort of like you were on a Universal Studios backlot tour of Scott Pilgrim. Sneaky D's was in the comic book, and I believe it was mentioned in the movie, and it became impossible to get into Sneaky D's.
I remember in
for like a year.
Yeah, first year university, we used to go there all the time.
Empty.
Yeah, empty.
You go there for the poutines.
Yeah, and there was mostly older people too, like a lot of like older kind of punkier metal people.
Yeah,
and then after Scott Pilgrim came out, it was a bunch of like younger kids wearing Nintendo
they
t-shirts
took
and shit.
They were like, we want to live vicariously through Scott Pilgrim, so we're going to do all the Scott Pilgrim tour.
You know what's kind of cool? It's happened twice now at work where people have come in. And they'll be wearing, I'll see something like the X-Men patch or like, the Ramona hammer.
Right, yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, cool, Scott Pilgrim. They're like, yeah, I'm here from the States and I'm doing a Scott Pilgrim tour. It happens a lot now. I'm telling you, dude, we should get one of those double-decker buses and drive around the
Kramer?
I'm serious. Like, there's so much interest in it now. We could drive up to the school. The school, Knives School is just up here on Bathurst.
Yeah, the reference library. They know we'd have
right.
to do a comic book tour though. We'd have to go.
We could do both.
We could do both because there's only a handful of locations. Knives' school is right up next to where I used to live.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
There was that pizza's pretty.
Oh yeah, Honest Heads is gone now.
That
Unfortunately,
sucks.
but
it was kind of cool. The day, remember that one scene? He's just like, "Hey, I'm in a phone booth. Are you wearing like a blue jacket?" He's like, "Are you telepathic?"
And then boom, she's at the side of the
I
booth.
remember the day they were filming that because I was like, "There's no phone booth here," and then they had the track
set
up around. So I was like, "Ooh, it's gonna be a cool 360 shot."
Nice, that's awesome.
I know that.
Yeah, it was great walking around and seeing production all over the place.
It was really, really cool.
There was because the school Knives went to was at the end of my old street, and then there was another where Scott fought. What was the girl called? Her ex.
Damn it, not
Roxy.
Roxy.
Where he fought Roxy was at another about 2 blocks away from that school.
Oh, really?
Where they shot the exteriors for that.
Right.
So I remember walking by and being like, and checking it out. So you could almost do the Scott Pilgrim tour while it was filming.
That's right.
If you knew the comic book.
That's right. Yeah. I remember when we went to that screening that they had the Bloor, which was probably the most Torontonian thing ever. It was a Scott Pilgrim screening at the Bloor. They showed the making of documentary and everything.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Oh, my favorite is they got from Crash and the Boys. The little Asian girl came out and she flipped off the crowd and everyone like fucking lost their minds.
I remember the guy hosting it was a bit of a tool too. Who was it hosting the conversation with everybody? Remember we were joking about him being like, "This guy's such an asshole."
That's usually what we're saying when we're in public.
But he kept trying to draw the attention to him. He kept being like, "Well, in my experience, when I do things like this," I'm like, "It's not about you.
None of this is about you."
You're supposed to be interviewing." Yeah, whatever. It was some Canadian half-ass C-list personality.
I just remember at one point someone asked a question in regards to like, did you find it difficult to execute this? I can't remember exactly what it was, but it prompted a response from Brian Lee O'Malley that it was trying to evoke a response and just left the crowd silent. Like he was just like, "No, it's because," he points to Edgar Wright, "he's a fucking awesome director and I'm a fucking awesome writer." And it was like...
Yeah, Brian Lee O'Malley seems like a bit of a bitch. I remember I had a question that you shamed me out of asking.
Uh-oh. Did I?
Because my question was, in the comic book, it was about like the adaptation process. And it was supposed to like be approaching it from a microscopic perspective to get a larger picture. Because in the comic book, Scott's 24 and in the movie, he's 22.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask, like, was that a conscious decision? Was it a mistake? Was it like, use that to spin off the adaptation process? And I remember you were like, "That's the stupidest question fucking ever." And you shamed me into not asking it. I was like, "No."
Ever a supportive friend. That's my motto.
But it was great. I probably did, like, I think I presented as like, "I'm going to ask why Scott was 22 and not 24 like in the comic." And rightfully so, you're like, "That's a fucking stupid question." But the question was supposed to be about the adaptation process, etc., etc. Sure. But I didn't really get that across.
I feel awful.
No.
God knows what kind of answer he could have gotten.
Probably, because he's a fucking awesome director, and I'm an awesome writer. Brian Lee O'Malley out!
Drops the microphone. "Sir, you're contracted to do 20 more minutes. Get your ass back here."
Oh, fine. I think that pretty much wraps it up. We just want to check in with you guys and say Happy Canada's Day, do a quick little extra discussion.
Happy Canada Day.
Canada Day. Oh, one last going out point. In honor of Canada Day, I'm pretty sure Danny Elfman has never heard the Canadian National Anthem, because if you listen to Oz the Great and Powerful, he uses the same da-da-da-da as the theme for Oz.
Maybe Oz is just supposed to be
Canadian.
It's supposed to be in Canada.
He inverts it though, because the "Oh Canada" is "Oh Canada."
Wait, which movie?
Da, and he inverts it. He goes da 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 da.
Which movie?
Oz the Great and Powerful.
The one with Franco?
With Franco. The main theme is ba 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 da, but then it goes da 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 da. It goes down instead of up, the way the Canada theme goes.
You know what's the most fascinating part about all that is that you watched that fucking movie.
It was a Sam Raimi movie. I gotta watch the new Sam Raimi movie, no matter what. Drag Me to Hell was great.
I love Drag Me to Hell, but like at least that one's kind of like it's in like Evil Dead 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. But
compared to this Disney stuff they've been pushing out lately of like Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland and everything.
Yeah.
Oz the Great and Powerful wasn't horrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't.
It wasn't powerful.
Yeah, it wasn't powerful or great, but it didn't offend me in any way. I just sort of was like, yeah, it's fine.
If I give this movie a whirl and it sucks, I get to kick you in one shin.
In one chin?
In one shin.
Oh, shin?
Yeah, barefoot. No footwear.
I have to go with the left one because I've broken the right one.
Because
so.
I swear to God.
Oh no, you're not gonna. It's not. It just
too late. Verbal contract.
All I could say is that
you guys all heard it.
It won't make you miserable and offend you like a Transformers movie. It's
James
fine.
Franco's penis would.
Oh, that doesn't offend anyone. That
I've
makes
seen
everyone
it too many
happy.
times on social media. God damn it.
Hashtag DC2. Happy Canada Day! Forgotten things and anthem.
Lights and fireworks.
Bum, 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 bum.